Good morning there, brothers and sisters. Pray you guys are doing well, navigating through this beast system. I thought we'd do one on medicines. You know, maybe beef up our medicine cabinets, or at least keep that in mind. There's some natural painkillers that I like, and natural antibiotics and fish antibiotics too to keep in mind. So wild lettuce, I love wild lettuce. I'm in Northern California and it grows everywhere. There's it's a prickly kind, and it's same medicine, it's the same, the white stuff inside is the medicine. But I did buy some seeds. I ordered some seeds of a different variety, and they're not expensive at all. It's easy to grow. It grows like a weed, and I think it grows in every state. Maybe some states where you guys get real bad, low temps. You might want to have it in a pot and bring it inside. To my knowledge, it grows in pretty much every country, obviously not desert areas. Yeah, wild lettuce, it's non-narcotic. It's good for pain. It's good for insomnia, anxiety. I've only used it in teas, and I've made alcohol tinctures, but this guy explains it's very easy how to make an extract. I haven't done that yet. I'm gonna do that. Give it a try. This is an infomercial, so I don't mind running this. And then we'll look at kratom. Now, kratom is a painkiller, and now kratom is addictive, unlike the wild lettuce, and so you'd have to be careful with that. It could be some health effects. Apparently, some people, it's hard on the liver. Now, see, I am addicted to it. You just have to be careful. A lot of people, it's something you'd want to look into, obviously, but in an emergency, it'd be good to have on hand, I guess like 3 capsules would be equivalent to a Vicodin, and which is like 1.5 grams. It's relatively inexpensive. That's something to keep in mind. And then some natural antibiotics. We'll look at a gal's channel, Magical Hoof, and I'll leave a link. She has great stuff in there. She's hip to what's going on. And then fish antibiotics, and there's numerous different kinds that you need for different ailments. If a person could have some on hand, it isn't a bad idea. I guess it could get expensive. I got 4 different kinds. We can only do what we can do, and who knows what direction they're taking all this. We just know they're taking it a direction, and we can only speculate, but it is what it is. So let's watch this real quick, guys. And okay,
next time you see this plant in your backyard, don't cut it down, because this is the best natural painkiller you'll ever find. Some people even compare it to morphine. This common plant is called wild lettuce, and was commonly used by Native Americans 2 centuries ago for both food and medicine. So today I'm going to show you how to make a simple wild lettuce extract to keep in your medicine cabinet and use whenever you need it. Now, if you take a leaf or stem and squeeze it, you'll see a white substance coming out. This is where the potency of the plant lies. Because of this white juice, the early European settlers also called it opium lettuce. This milky substance doesn't contain any opiates, but it's working on the central nervous system directly to lessen the feeling of pain. Nowadays, many people are turning their attention back to this lost knowledge and use it as a replacement for addictive prescription pain medicines. So let's avert our gaze from our modern survival thinking for just a bit and look at how our great-grandparents did it 150 years ago. This is exactly the kind of information I found in this 350-page book called The Lost Ways. This is probably the only survival book I've actually enjoyed reading. You won't believe how many survival things we've lost to history. I found the wild lettuce on page 113 and decided to make my own painkiller. I collected about 50 leaves today and washed them thoroughly. So the first thing you should do is grind them up in a blender, not very thinly and only just for a few seconds. Place the ground leaves into a wide pot and add just enough water to cover them. Now place the pot on the stove on low heat for 30 minutes. Do not let it boil because you'll destroy all the good stuff in it. Stir every 15 minutes until the water reaches a dark brown color, just like this. Now pour the substance while still hot into another pot through a strainer. Almost none or very little plant material should get through it. Try to squeeze as much water as you can while the plant is in the strainer. This solution contains all the core elements of wild lettuce, especially the pain-killing essence. But it's not concentrated enough yet. So in order to obtain this essence, you should warm it over low heat again until the water is vaporized, basically dehydrating the solution until it becomes a paste like this. Be careful at the end when there is little water left. You should not burn the extract at the bottom of the pot. What you should have now here is pure wild lettuce extract. You can pour it in a small glass container like this and put it in your medicine cabinet for later use when you'll need it. Wild lettuce is unscheduled by the FDA, meaning it's legal to grow, own, and forage without prescription or license, just like how the Native Americans used to heal their pain. In the Lost Ways, you'll find lots of these common and valuable weeds with pictures, how to identify them, how to prepare them, and how to use them, all with different medical...
That would be a pretty good book to pick up if one was so inclined, huh? So yeah, wild lettuce, and again, you can order seeds. I'll leave a link, or you could just Google them, or I'm gonna leave a couple of videos how to identify it, and it pretty much grows everywhere. I'm finding the deer don't want to eat it, and maybe due to the medicine inside, huh? Which is funny. Sometimes, like last year, that deer weren't, or the year before, they weren't interested in the hot peppers, which you wouldn't think they would be, and then last year, man, they tore them up. So who knows? I mean, they ate the peppers. It was late season, but so let's see. Let's go ahead and check out kratom. Okay, guys, so we're only going to watch a couple minutes of this to give you an idea.
Speciosa, also known as kratom, is a plant with depressant and stimulant qualities that's indigenous to Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia, and other countries. People have used it in those areas for centuries. Depending on the dose, users receive coca-like stimulant effects or opium-like depressant effects. Its various properties have allowed it to be used in recreational, work, and medical settings. It's a member of the Rubiaceae family, which includes genera like Coffea, thereby botanically grouping kratom with other plant drugs like coffee. Among its positive effects are stimulation, sedation, euphoria, greater sexual desire, enhanced work output, greater sociability, increased motivation, pain relief, and fatigue reduction. The negative effects include dizziness, nausea, vomiting, hangover, itchiness, and reduced sexual performance. Stimulant effects are generally shorter lasting and appear with lower doses, whereas high doses bring about a longer lasting depressant effect. Different effects have long been connected to various types of kratom. Red veins, green veins, and white veins all have their own potential effect profile. There's not much research in this area, so it's not clear how real the differences are. If there are differences, people claim white vein is more stimulating, red vein is more sedating, and green vein is a mix. Orally, the drug lasts for 2 to 4 hours and begins working in 15 to 20 minutes. Some hangover or afterglow effects can exist for up to 6 hours. Kratom contains a number of active drugs which likely contribute to its overall effects, and different drugs may be responsible for the stimulant versus depressant actions. 2 of the primary drugs are mitragynine and 7-hydroxymitragynine, both of which function as opioid agonists. Mu, delta, and kappa opioid receptors are involved. 5 5-HT2A antagonism and alpha-2 adrenergic receptor agonism could be playing a role, but kratom's pharmacology is far from completely understood. There's also evidence suggesting adenosine antagonism and calcium channel blocking may be important. One of kratom's drugs, rincophaline, operates as an NMDA antagonist and calcium channel blocker. Other potentially important drugs, like mitriptyline, need to be investigated further. At this point, the most important actions seem to come from opioid agonism and potentially A2 agonism, serotonin antagonism, and adenosine antagonism. I can see how those actions could result in stimulation or sedation depending on the dose used. The plant was first described by Peter Corthals, a Dutch botanist, in 1839. It's been used in Thailand and surrounding countries for centuries, generally for work reasons, recreationally, and as an anti-diarrhea substance. In the 1800s, reports of its role as an opium substitute appeared in Malaysia, and it was even used to replace amphetamines by some people in Thailand in the 1900s. A report in 1930 discussed how it could be used to combat opioid withdrawal, and its own withdrawal symptoms have been in the literature since the mid-1900s. In 1920...
Okay. So that gives you guys an idea, and I'll leave a link to that. It's the Drug Classroom. That's actually a good channel that explains a lot of, all the different medicines that are prescribed. So there's that, and let's go on to Magical Hoof, and she does a real good job. This is a natural antibiotic, and I'm going to give this a try. I don't have a dehydrator, but I think it could be done in an oven. So, okay guys, this is Magical Hoof channel, and it's titled Making the Best Antibiotic Ever Survival Capsules. I'm pretty impressed by this, and she really does have a good channel, so I will leave a link to her. Okay, yes, put doses determined on your condition. I don't think that would be unhealthy to take on a daily basis, huh? So, and capsule machine, I don't know. You could probably take like a half a teaspoon and just put it in a cup of warm water. Wouldn't be the tastiest medicine, but also colloidal silver. I swear by colloidal silver. Now, I bought an inexpensive kit. In fact, I made a video on it. It's not the best video, but you can get inexpensive kits online, and it really works, man. It really works. I had some terrible burns on my arm, and within a week, colloidal silver and aloe vera healed it up, man. You can take it internally, and it does work. So is it the cure-all? No, but it does work. It's not a hustle. So let's look at fish antibiotics. This is Dr. Bones, and he's pretty knowledgeable, and this is kind of like an infomercial too, but he's giving you a lot of knowledge, so I don't feel too bad sharing this either. Hopefully he doesn't mind, but you might want to subscribe to him, and I definitely will subscribe to Magical Hoof because she's got some great stuff. Okay, moving on. That's like Austin from Ohio. You guys ever watch Austin from Ohio? He's a good kid, man. Moving on. So, this is on the fish antibiotics. This is Dr. Bones' channel, and I'll leave a link. So let's watch this.
Hi, I'm Joe Alton, MD of Survival Top 50's Reader's Choice website, doomandbloom.net, with over 1,000 articles, podcasts, and videos on medical preparedness. Together with my wife, Amy Alton, an advanced registered nurse practitioner, we're the authors of the Book Excellence Award winner in medicine, The Survival Medicine Handbook, now in its 700-page third edition. Also, the brand new book, Alton's Antibiotics and Infectious Disease, the layman's guide to available antibacterials in austere settings, and the designers of an entire line of medical kits and supplies at store.doomandbloom.net. I guess I should start by saying that the information in this video is only meant for circumstances where there is no functioning medical system. If modern professional care is available, for goodness sake, seek it out. If a disaster throws you off the grid, your risk of traumatic injury increases, and so does that of infection. When somebody thinks of an infectious disease event, they envision a deadly epidemic or pandemic, but any catastrophe can increase the number of people with infections. When I say catastrophe, I'm not talking about losing power from a storm for 3 days. I'm talking about a true long-term survival scenario. Now, in these events, these horrific events, you can expect that dirty wounds, contaminated water, poorly prepared food, inadequate sanitation, all those things will turn healthy people into desperately sick ones. With antibiotics in your medical storage, however, you have a good shot of nipping those infections in the bud, at least some of them. Without antibiotics in your storage, however, you are heading for a bad outcome. Now, one of the most frequent questions I receive from readers, listeners, and viewers is which antibiotics to have on hand for survival settings. I've received a flurry of these lately in response to our new book, Alton's Antibiotics and Infectious Disease, and indeed, in the book, I discuss, well, antibiotics and infectious disease, the infections to be expected in those survivors knocked off the grid, and the antibiotics obtainable by the average person that would help prevent otherwise avoidable deaths. By the way, I don't sell antibiotics, nor do I own any part of any company that does. Certainly, it would be great if you had the financial resources to have all of the medications that we talk about in Alton's Antibiotics and Infectious Disease, but that's beyond the means of almost everybody. You'll need to pick a limited number, probably, to stockpile. But which ones? Chances are, if you lined up 10 doctors in a row, you get 10 different answers, and you have to hide behind a couch while they duke it out amongst themselves. Your choices should depend on the infections you're most likely to encounter. Is it wound infections you're concerned about, or intestinal infections like dysentery or cholera? Does somebody in your group have a medical condition that makes them prone to a certain infection? Certainly, one drug does not cure all. Now, without knowing your individual situation, it's hard to give you specifics. I can, however, step out on a limb and give you my personal recommendations. There are a few antibiotics available in aquarium and avian form that I would definitely want in my survival medicine cabinet. This video would be too long to mention every disease these drugs treat or dosing of these drugs. Our book is more than 300 pages long, but I'll mention a little bit about each. 1. For those who aren't allergic to penicillin, I think either amoxicillin, Amoxil or Fishmox, or Cephalexin, Keflex or Fishflex, are both members of the beta-lactam family, would be good drugs to have around, especially for soft tissue and bacterial upper respiratory infections. Dosing is relatively simple, and in most cases, they're perfectly safe for pregnant and pediatric patients. Secondly, I would have doxycycline, Vibramycin, Dorix, or Bird Biotic, which handles a lot of different infections of the respiratory and intestinal tracts, and it's okay to take if you're allergic to penicillin. I will say that it's not considered acceptable for use during pregnancy, however. For those who claim doxycycline becomes toxic as a tetracycline family drug when expired, note that the Department of Defense's Shelf Life Extension Program has in the past authorized its use well beyond the expiration dates during shortages. Third, metronidazole, Flagyl or Fishzole. That's a drug I consider very useful, especially for intestinal infections from bacteria and certain parasites like Giardia. It's also used in combination with other antibiotics in those people that have very stubborn infections, for example, appendicitis, for situations where surgery is just not an option. Although metronidazole is acceptable in those people that are allergic to penicillin, it's not okay for pregnant or breastfeeding mothers. Fourth, I would say azithromycin, maybe even third in that circumstance. Z-Pak or Bird Zithro. It's known to be generally safe in pregnancy as well as for those people that have penicillin allergies. That's a great thing. It's one of the nation's actually most prescribed drugs, and it can deal with many cases of respiratory infection, dysentery, tonsillitis, sinusitis, all sorts of things. And an additional benefit is that many people in your group will already have taken it before in its popular Z-Pak form. You know that they probably have tolerated it okay. Next, I would say clindamycin. Clindamycin is also known as Cleocin or Fishsin, C-I-N, and that would also be on my list. It's been used to treat everything from acne to anthrax, but it's helpful especially for pneumonias, pelvic infections, uterine infections after childbirth, soft tissue infections, even effective against MRSA. It is like azithromycin, but unlike doxycycline and metronidazole, acceptable for use during pregnancy and in people allergic to penicillin. Of course, you could be allergic to clindamycin, really, or any other antibiotic itself. Each antibiotic has its adverse reactions. It's important to know that. And in rare cases, use of clindamycin, for example, could induce an intestinal inflammation of its own called colitis, which could be pretty serious. Last, the sulfa-drug combination sulfamethoxazole trimethoprim, otherwise known as Bactrim or Septra or fish sulfa forte. That is an excellent choice for many infections, especially those of the urinary tract. If that's a common problem for family members, you might definitely consider this drug. It has also been used for skin infections, some sinusitis, MRSA, ear infections, and others. Sulfa drugs are acceptable in the penicillin allergic, but not in the pregnant woman or breastfeeding mother. Now, you may notice my list doesn't include ciprofloxacin, Cipro or Fishflox. It's an antibiotic, however, that is very effective against many infections. I just felt that the side effects of the drug, including weakness of the muscles and tendons, really precluded my adding it for survival scenarios. It's still an option for some. In our book, we describe the various antibiotic families in detail. The drugs that I just mentioned each belong to a different family. If you can accumulate some of each over time, over a good period of time, it would give you the best chance of having a medicine on hand that would have activity against almost any bacterial infection. Now, that doesn't mean that they're necessarily the best antibiotic for a particular job, just that I consider them reasonable choices from among the antibiotics that you can actually obtain. It's important for you to know that every single medication I mentioned has its share of side effects and reasons why they might be dangerous in some people, like those that have kidney disease or liver disease. You should also learn to recognize the signs and symptoms of these diseases and, of course, of bacterial and also viral infections. You have to know the difference between bacterial and viral. Indeed, antibiotics are not useful at all if you have misdiagnosed a viral infection as something bacterial. The bottom line, antibiotics are not candy, and they should be used judiciously and rarely, even in survival settings. They'll be scarce commodities, irreplaceable in a societal collapse, so accumulate a supply and utilize them wisely. To accomplish that goal requires not just funds, but a fund of knowledge and good judgment. If you're successful, you might just save the life of someone who otherwise might not survive in times of trouble. This is Joe Alton, MD, that old Dr. Bones, wishing you the best of health in good times or bad. Thanks for watching. Hey, don't forget to fill those holes in your medical storage by checking out Nurse Amy's entire line of medical kits at store.doomandbloom.net. That's store.doomandbloom.net. You'll be glad you did.
Yeah, I've been to their store. They do have a lot of good stuff. So yeah, that's Dr. Bones. I'll leave a link to him. And yeah, his books really seem pretty good. That would be something to have if you're so inclined to. Or you could go online and probably be a good idea to print some up. I don't have a computer or printer, so might cowboy up and put on a mask for 10 minutes and go to the library. So there's that. And what else? Yeah, you know, stuff like garlic, cloves, honey, cayenne pepper, golden seal. If you guys have a health food store, you can get the golden seal in bulk, and you know, turmeric. I need to get some more of that. And I've made garlic tinctures with 100 proof vodka. Chop up the garlic and put it in a jar with the vodka, and it takes out all the, so you get a potent. I think that's about it, guys. We went over the colloidal silver. Yeah, you know, working on our health right now. I don't take care of myself. I don't know why I don't want to say healthy, but you know, for a guy 53 who has not taken care of himself and smokes, and yeah, it's pretty important. Get our gut health, you know. Fasting, I need to knuckle down. I've done a couple fasts last year, 2 days and 3 days, I think. Maybe fruit fast, whatever. But gut health is important. Hulk Spiritual Logic, his channel, he talks a lot about that, you know, because we're eating our garbage, you know, and so it is what it is. Yeah, all this is in God's hands, so we'll just we do what we can do. But I just figured I'd put this out, and yeah, I could leave links now. It's taken me this long to learn how to leave links, so now I'll pound you guys with a bunch of links. And yeah, I learned how to do the I didn't know what oh boy, I even forgot the name of it. Hashtag. I didn't know what hashtag. I thought hashtag just meant important, you know. And I was putting hashtag as important, and I noticed it come up blue and clickable for whatever that's worth. So yeah, now I know how to leave links. So I'll leave you guys links, and yeah, you know, whatever direction it's going, it's going. So, you know, we'll just do the best we can and give it over to God, right? All right, guys. Well, I pray all's well. Love you all, and I'll talk to you later.